Hello, and thanks for joining another Dynamics 365 Business Central supply chain topic. Today, we are going to take a shallow dive into manufacturing basics for Dynamics 365 Business Central. My name is Pat Bostic. I'm a senior solution strategist for our Microsoft ERP team here at Cartus. Feel free if you have any questions after watching the demo. Please reach out to me with any questions at pbostic@cartus.com. Today, we're going to talk about some basic concepts in manufacturing with Business Central. A couple things on replenishment, some planning concept discussion around around uh, how to plan for material and labor for manufacturing orders, some capacity planning concepts. So that'll be working machine centers, cost shares, which is a breakdown of the cost for manufacturing based on standard cost, production orders, uh, bills and routings, and also what does it look like in a make to order uh, state for Business Central. Uh, so with that, let's dive into Business Central. I hope you can all see my screen here. And what I'm signed on here as a production manager, uh, and you can see my role page is all things production, where I've got tiles showing me different statuses of orders and planning concerns, any other activities and warehouse documents that might be there, as well as quick actions for things that I would routinely do as a production manager or maybe even a planner. So on my role page here, there will be things for product design. There'll be routings and bills of material. Um, Maybe something under sales and purchases for creating sales and POs. Production orders, we're going to go through the different types and what they mean. And then worksheets here. So again, whether you're running full MRP planning or maybe just going in and working on standard costs, there are worksheets for that. So let's take a dive into our first topic here, and that is going to be replenishment. Now, this is not meant to be a demo on purchasing or anything like that, but a couple concepts that become important in a manufacturing environment for replenishment. So let's come in and let's come into our item table here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is let's take our bicycle here. And as I hover over the bicycle, you can see I've got information coming up here on my information pane, things relevant to costing, things relevant to planning, things relevant to forecasting or item attributes. I'm going to click on the item and let's take a look at the actual bicycle itself. And actually, what we're going to do, I'm going to back up here. I'm going to take one of the components on the bicycle. I'm going to go with the rim because the rim is something that we don't make and we would typically need to buy. Close the information pane here. And as you can see, as I scroll down here through the item tab where I'm setting up, basic unit of measure, what type is it, inventory, non-inventory, service item, through my inventory tab, you come down here to my replenishment tab. This is where I want to take a focus. So this is where we tell the system, what is our replenishment strategy here? Now for this item, it's going to be purchase, but it could be production order or assembly with that. I can put in lead time calculations. So if I wanted to put in a 10-day lead time, I can do that. Or if I wanted to be 3 weeks, I could put that in there as well. I've associated a vendor to this item. So anytime a purchase order is either planned or released, and from a new standpoint or from our planning engine, it's going to suggest this vendor. And this vendor also has an associated item number that corresponds to the 1110 item number in our Business Central. Um, So other things on here, the purchase unit of measure, whether I want to block this from being purchased or not, I can certainly do that. But just one topic here I want to make over here on the lot size. So the lot size is really the default number of units that can be processed in any one production run. Um, it might be more beneficial to make this a larger number. Maybe instead of 10, maybe it's 30, and that can have some effects on standard costing down the road because it could actually lessen the standard cost with an increase in lot size because you may actually be reducing setup time associated with that, or maybe even there might be a lessening of scrap because you're making more in one continuous run. So, just a little concept of that for replenishment. Now I'm going to go back to my item list here. And the next topic I want to talk about are some planning concepts. So, what I'm going to talk about here is part of the overall MRP strategy within Business Central. And there is full MRP. Today's discussion is not meant to dive deep into the entire MRP. But again, what I'd like to do is let's take this rim um, from a planning factor and come back into this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scroll down past the replenishment and let's just close that. And let's come into the planning tab. So in the planning tab within Business Central, I'm going to click to show some more fields here. When we talk about a reorder policy, there are four that we can pick from here. We've got a fixed, we've got a maximum, we've got a per order, or a lot per lot. So on a fixed quantity, this is going to allow you to be able to combine um, reorder point strategies. So you can see here the reorder point and the reorder quantity are both active fields when I select fixed order quantity. You really don't want to, this is really used in manufacturing for some of the the lowest level components. Um, and I really wouldn't use this if your strategy is to reserve these items. Probably not the best fit. The second one, which would be maximum quantity, again, this is for C-level items that have a high carrying cost, or maybe they have some storage limitations. Um, Clicking that will, again, you can see I can't really touch the reorder quantity, but I can get into the min and max um, to be able to or order multiples here to be able to do that. Um, I can combine this min max with other things here like safety stock or safety quantity. The third one is strategy is order. And so in manufacturing, I would use this if I was planning at the top level items, and maybe expensive components or sub-assemblies that might be in a bill of material. And again, now when I click order, you can see that reorder point and quantity and things like min max are all grayed out. I still have safety lead time that I can put in, but the concept is to do this order by order. And then finally, kind of the catch-all is lot for lot. And in manufacturing, I would use this for components that occur in maybe in multiple BOMs. This ensures that POs are combined for the same vendor so that maybe there's price breaks that can be realized and things like that. And again, when I select lot per lot, other fields are grayed out that really don't come into play, and others open up that I can combine strategies of safety stock and lead time with min and max order quantities. Um, and again, so we talk about safety lead time that's in there. Um, if I wanted to put a day, a number of days or a number of weeks or maybe even a month, I can do that with the safety time strategies. The safety stock we talked about, how much do I want to have in as a safety stock that whenever planning is run, it will look at demand and also what the safety stock is to make sure that I'm replenishing with an accurate number. Um, the lot accumulation, again, that's just another field where I can put a time period in here. Again, if I'm not doing fixed order, it'd be lot for lot, where I can combine orders over a period of time that I designate here. And then obviously the min max quantities. What's the minimum I can order, the maximum I can order. Again, there could be, if it's a purchase item, there could be ramifications for price based on that. Our next topic we're going to move into is going to be bills of material and routings. So what I'd like to show you here with this is, see on my bicycle here, which is a manufactured part, I do have a BOM and I do have a route associated with that. And the same down here, if I scroll down and I've got the chain assembly you'll see here, does not, it's only got a BOM, it doesn't have a route. So it's not really a manufactured item like a hub or a wheel or the actual um, bicycle itself. So let's take a look at, I'm going to go into product design and we're going to take production BOMs, and let's take a look at the BOM for the actual bicycle itself. Again, I'm going to hover over here. You can see here that these are all the components of the BOM. I can have multiple versions of a BOM that can be date effective. I can set what my unit of measure is, and I can have statuses from either new to certified, under development to certified or closed. And I can obviously, when I can copy one BOM to another, I can look at the multiple versions that are there. I can look at a where used, to where these different components are in different bills of material. Um, so anything that I really want to do with that BOM is going to be active in here. Down here, this bottom section underlines, these are the components of the actual bill of material to create a bicycle. And you can see it's a front wheel, it's a back wheel, it's a chain assembly. Uh, some of these, like a back wheel and a chain assembly and a front wheel, are going to be BOMs on their own. So this is really an indented bill of material that we're creating here. And I can have as many levels on a bill of material as I need. Um, but the beauty is that they're all appearing here in my quantity per. So how many front and back wheels do I need? How many chain assemblies? How many lights, bells, brakes, handlebars do I need? And what is my expected scrap percentage here? There are some things that I can add new lines to this if I want. There's other things I can do, like look at the where used, like I said before, and where's this back wheel being used in other bikes. So let's take a quick look at that, and we'll see here that it's used in the bicycle and the touring bicycle. So it's used two different places. Our next stop is going to be the routings. So again, I'm going to go to my product design tab here, and let's take a look at the routing for the bicycle. I can see it's in a certified status. So I've already gone and I've approved the actual bill of material. So again, now I can have, again, version numbers on the routing. It's the same as I did with the bill of material. I can copy a routing if I create a new one and I don't want to go through and recreate all the lines that are on the routing, I can certainly do that. The status types are there. And then as I get down into the actual lines of what am I going to do to produce this bicycle, you can see it's going through multiple machine and work centers. So the wheel assembly work center. I have setup time, run time, wait time, move time, all things that I can report on, and also will affect the actual cost going into a production order. Um, Again, it can be a work center or it could be a machine center. So work center can be, maybe it could be a person or a machine. The same with the machine center. It's just that I'm designating this as a dedicated machine center uh, for this chain assembly. And if I actually hover over and I've highlighted this operation here, some of the things that I can do here, under this operation, if I wanted to put any comments on here, I could certainly do that. If I had tools that I wanted to define or certain people that I wanted to allocate to this individual job and, make reference that, hey, I would like Joe to be able to work on the wheel assembly. Or if I'm if I want to report any kind of QC measures here. So again, I could set up quality measure codes. Maybe it's inspect, maybe it's electrical or paint or things like that, where I can put in um, a min value and a max value, and then comments here on what those QC results were. So that's actually part of the routing. So topic number 4 that we're going into here is going to be called cost shares. So cost shares are a way to go in and envision and see what is the cost makeup of an item. Uh, and it will blow down through every level that is in that bill of material. So it's got to be a manufactured item. For that, let's go back into our item screen again, and we're gonna pick on the bicycle again. And what we're going to do is going to come up here, select more options, and I'm going to come into the bill of material tab here, where, yeah, I can look at the structure of the bill of material. So what it's doing here is going to be creating an actual look for me of an indented bill of material. And I can see here things like the bicycle and how it's being replenished by production order, as opposed to a rim or spokes, which are by purchase order. It shows my quantity that I need to make one of these, um, and whether it's an indented bill or not. So the front wheel is also has a bill of material and a routing, and you can see how they're broken out in the different levels. And as I scroll down here, it's not only got material, but it's got the hours or minutes in this case for the actual machine and the work centers that are going to go into that. And from the structure screen, I can also do checks of item availability if I want, or other functions. But we talked about looking at the cost shares. So cost shares is right under here as well. And let's take the bill of material here. We'll look at the cost shares, and this is the breakdown of everything required to make a bicycle. Now, if you remember, we talked about this being standard cost. This is the rolled up standard cost for making a bicycle, and it's the cost of all the different components for labor and material that we just saw in the structure, uh, that cost out to make, give me that top end cost of $315. So I can see I've got my rolled up material cost, I've got my rolled up capacity cost. If I had any overhead in here, that would be rolled up as well as scrap. So again, giving me this total cost. And being standard cost, I can use a cost worksheet to revalue my standard cost based on actual values that are in the system now. Maybe you want to do that once a year. Maybe your strategy is to do it more. That's certainly available for that. When we talked about the lot size, so here I've got the lot size, if remember from the item card, set at 10. But as we spoke before, if I change that lot size, it can have a direct cost effect for scrap and maybe setup. It could be more efficient if we manufactured larger quantities. Um, and again, if I want to see it here, if I want to see any warnings that might be there, or if I want to look at this thing graphically, I can say, how do I want to show this? It's a single level or rolled up, show only the first bomb level. Well, let's take a look at this visual and see what this comes back with. It's just another way to take a look at all the different costs that are associated with manufacturing a bicycle. And you can see here, there's my material cost. It's breaking out by, there's some capacity cost in there. If I had any subcontractor or overheads, they would be showing there as well. Okay. Now, since we talked a little bit about capacity, what do we mean by capacity? So item number 5 here, we're going to talk about capacity planning and basically just a work center or machine center designation. Again, we're not going to drive into deep detail with this, but what we are going to do is let's click on the capacity tab here. Let's take a look at work centers. And if you remember from the routing, a couple of these work centers were included as well as some machine centers. But what this is showing me here is let's take the assembly department work center, for instance, because that was on the bicycle routing. I see I've got a capacity to run, and um, how many can be done in a specific time. So really, what's my capacity? So do I have to just do one in a run, or could I do multiples with the capacity? What's my unit of measure? Could be hours, minutes, seconds, if you want. What shop calendar code am I tied here? Is this work center part of a group? And again, planning can look at work center groups. So if we have alternative work centers, things like that can come into play here, being part of a group. So let's dive into the assembly work center here. And again, I'm going to hide that info pane. Again, common setup features. What's the number, the name, the work group code that we talked about, my posting, what's my direct unit cost here, any subcontractors I need, what's my flushing method? Is it manual? Is it forward? Is it backward? Um, and my unit cost calculation uh, in time or units is in there. But let's go to the scheduling tab here. And here I'm saying, how do I want to report time? Is it minutes? Is it days? I can put whatever I want in here and create that. What's my shop calendar that I've got tied to this? My capacity at the work center, any kind of queue time or wait time, and what my expected efficiency is here. Um, if I come up here to the related tab and I click on the planning matrix here, I can take a look at the calendar and I can show the matrix to see what's my expected capacity in any one of these work centers. So, I can click and see what my available hours are for that. It's 1,440 hours. Maybe I want to look at statistics for the assembly department, and I can see what my total capacity is for the year, what's been used, what's gone through. Um, just to give me a feel for the utilization within the work center. And other things I can look at here would be maybe the load. So, what is my current? What do I have in here currently? I don't have anything assigned to this currently. So again, I can schedule up to 1,440 hours or minutes per day with this. Or if I want to look at it in a week or a month, all the numbers are adjusted accordingly. So capacity planning, we're talking about machine centers and work centers, full support for that within Business Central and MRP and planning. Um, our sixth topic here is going to be how does Business Central handle a make to order strategy? So whether it's you can designate an item to be manufactured in a make to stock or a make to order environment. It affects how planning is done and order tracking and things like that. In a make to order, you're not necessarily stocking these bicycles, but we're going to make them as someone orders them. So we're actually going to be tying a production order to a sales order for that full end-to-end order tracking. So what we'll do here, let's go in and create a sales order. And I'm going to create a new sales order. And we'll just pick a customer here. I'm going to pick At Bostic Enterprises, as the customer, you can see here it gives me information about the customer, how many orders they have out there, their details, any outstanding uh, invoices or amounts or things like that. Not concerned with that right now. Uh, I could put in an expected delivery date, and if I wanted the system to come back and maybe do a capable or promise and modify these dates, I have that capability in here as well. But let's keep it simple. Pat Bostic Enterprises is going to order an item. And again, the item, it could be an item, a resource. I could be buying a fixed asset. Um, we are going to select the bicycle, and we're going to order 2 bicycles. And you can see I've got a message up here that I don't have enough stock to just ship this bicycle. I'm going to have to do something with it. So what we will do here at this point is let's come up here. I know I don't have it in stock. I could let this go and I could enter the sales order. And if I'm doing an MRP run, MRP will see this demand out here for a quantity. It will suggest that I create production order and all the associated purchase orders or sub-assembly production orders that go with it. Uh, I don't want to wait. This is going to be an order I want to start pushing through right now. So let's come up here to our header. I'm going to click on actions. And I'm going to click on plan because what I want to come down here now is to the planning button. And you can see here now, my sales order planning has identified that I'm in a negative position with this too. What do you want to do? Well, I could leave it go and let MRP run with it later on. Or let's come up here and let's create a production order. Now, I can create a production order in a planned state. I can create it in a firm planned state. And we're going to cover off on these. I'm going to create this one in a released state. And is it going to be an item, for instance, a single item to a manufacturing order? Or is it going to be a project order? And what I mean by that is if I had on the sales order line the bicycle and replacement back wheels, as an example, both are manufactured items. Business Central will take those 2 items and put them on the same production order. So it manufactures things as a group with that. I'm not going to select project order here. I'm going to stick with item order and select yes. System is now going through and it's created that production order for me. Now, it's also changed the expected dates, and those things will change accordingly on the actual order. So with this now, if I come down here to the order tab, and again, there are things that I can look at here, like my availability for the order. We've already come through. We've created a production order for this. That production order is now tied to the sales order. So with that stated, let's move into the last piece and we'll take a look at the production order that we just created for this sales order. And we'll come up here to production orders. Actually, let's go to my roll page because you can see here now, I do have a released production order out here. But while we're on this screen, let's talk about the different statuses of simulated, planned, firm planned, and released. So simulated order, the main purpose of that would be for quoting and costing. Like maybe you're doing R&D and you want to get a cost estimate on a proposed item. A simulated production order would be a great way to do that. It's got no influence on planning or MRP runs. It's not considered. Nothing is considered or affected by a simulated order. And it's just there for planning purposes. A planned order, again, I could create a planned order from a sales order. MRP can create planned orders as well. They're like release production orders and provide input to capacity requirements by showing the total requirements for the work or machine centers that are on the routing. It can also represent a best estimate of future load for work centers. For maybe we're planning for the future and we want to put planned orders out there to eat up some of the work center load that we're planning on doing in those time periods. Um, the planning results in a suggested planned order. So MRP can suggest that you create planned orders that would include a quantity, a release, and a due date. So very important in how you think you want to massage some of these orders. A firm planned order, again, can be automatically created from a sales order or from a planning run. It is a placeholder in the planning schedule for future jobs to be released to the floor. So if you want to get an idea of what you're going to release and maybe use this as your production schedule, you can certainly do that because orders are scheduled. Firm planned orders are scheduled. And then you can release a firm planned order. If I come in here, and you can see here I can change the status of a firm planned order to a released order, uh, which put and that typically that means it's out on the floor. Or I can come right in and I can create a released order just like we did from that sales order. So let's come in to take a look at the order that we just put in. There's the quantity of 2. So here's my release production order that we created from the Business Central sales order. It was for a bicycle. There are 2 of those. It's in a released state. And you can see here, if I come down here and I look at the line for the bicycle, it's already gone through and it's scheduled this to start on 4/9 at 10:58 and be completed on 4/9 at 4 p.m. for a total quantity of 2 pieces. Different things that I can do here from the functions. I could refresh or replan the order. I can change the status back to a firm planned order if I want to, if I haven't reported anything on it yet. I can reserve it. I can look at the order tracking. So here, this is coming back to and pointing to the sales order where I created this production order from. And I can actually come here, here's showing me the actual sales order that was uh, the cause for creating this production order. If I come down here to the production order and I hover over the line for the bicycle, again, I come in here, I look at the line tab, and I can look at the routing associated with that. So here's the work centers, the start and end date and time for producing 2 bicycles, as well as taking a look at the routing or the components. And so here's all the items that I expect to have come in as part of this production process. Up here on the process tab, this is where we talked about this a little bit, but we talked about refreshing the production order, recalculating it, replanning it if something has changed in a work center or we made a change to either the bill of material or the routing for this specific production order. We can replan based on those changes. Or if I want to come in and take a look at the job card and think of this maybe as a shop traveler. So this might go out to the plant where I'm going to have people filling in what was created, what was scrapped, the date and time, and who did it. We are not going to talk about shop floor reporting today. We'll do another topic on that, where we're going into production journals to report individual operational activity and material usage. Uh, and then maybe the last thing here is going to be um, what I'm talking about with I'm sorry. Maybe I need to take a look at a shortage list to tell me, hey, we're creating this. What kind of position are we in with our components? What do we have? What do we need? What am I scheduled to have them come in? Just so I'm always aware of the material requirements that go with um, producing a bicycle. So with that, I'd like to thank you for watching the video. Again, this is an intro. We're going to do more deep dives into specific topics, but the goal here was to introduce you to Manufacturing and Business Central. It is a full MRP driven manufacturing planning system that is part of Business Central and a fantastic solution for the small mid market enterprise user who is a manufacturer or distributor. So, again, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and stay tuned for our next video.